Hello there. Where are you? I'm here. Now you can be there, I can be here, and we can be there, and we can be everywhere all at once. Now that's what we are going to talk about today because we have someone who has a great experience in that area, being everywhere all at once. So he's going to tell us the benefits, he's going to tell us the challenges, and I'm ready for that. I want to hear. He's come to tell us. And before we go into the episode, I'd like to remind you to please share this video or this audio, wherever it is that you're listening or watching, even if it's the recorded one, please share it with your friends. Let's get the word out there. Let's be everywhere all at once. And now, I won't take one more minute because I need to know how to go everywhere just about every time that I am here. So let's go together and meet our guest today, who is known as Barrett Matthews. I'm your host, Anthony Mwerore, so let's together go and meet him. Dr. Barrett Matthews.
Hello, Anthony. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How about you?
I am doing marvelously well and improving.
Wow, beautiful. I'm here. I'm in Athens, Greece. Where are you?
I'm here. I'm in Maryland, in the United
Okay,
States.
wonderful. So I'm here, you're there, we are there, everywhere.
That's right. I like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, let's get started by knowing. I see a doctor before your name. I'm curious to know how are you're a doctor?
I am. Well, I have a doctorate. I was given an honorary doctorate by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Clyde Rivers, who is who with an organization called I Change Nation. They promote civility around the world, and my third book that I wrote called A Call to Action. He wanted the book to share with some dignitaries around the world. He goes around the world promoting civility in your native Kenya and other places. And he told me that once I wrote that book, he said, I think I may have an honorary doctorate because he's also a chancellor at a university in Kenya, actually. And
Whoa.
yeah, so I remember during COVID, when COVID first happened, I was walking around my block. I looked, my phone dinged, and it was a picture of a diploma. He had given me an honorary doctorate for in humanities. So I was just grateful for the honor of doing that. So that's how that came to be.
Wow, beautiful. So we are here. I'm in Athens. You're there in the States, and you're talking about Kenya. So we've started going about everywhere. So
Yes,
got
we're doing it. We're doing it.
a doctorate from Kenya. And now you mentioned a word there that is not so familiar with many people. I think not everyone knows what is civility. You're a civility ambassador. What is
Yeah.
civility ambassador?
Civility, to put it in a nutshell, is treating people right, treating people the way they should be treated, treating people with fairness, treating people with honesty, treating people with respect. Without it, we are not much of a civilized society. And forgive me for using the word civilized and talking about civility, but it basically means that we are no different than animals if we can't treat each other civilly. We should be able to have disagreement without having argument. We should be able to have different opinions without being upset with one another, with respecting and listening to one another so that we can help each other to get along and to do better in this world that we're in, that God gave us.
Mm. And does it have to do with something that we were taught when we were young? The simple things like please, excuse me, sorry.
Yes, things like that. But like I said, a lot of it comes to listening, just listening
Okay.
to other people and
Mhm.
understanding that your plight, their plight might not be yours, but doesn't mean that it's any less than what you're dealing with. It's just something we have to learn to respect one another. And yes, being mannerful, please, thank you, excuse me. Those things are definitely part of being civil.
Okay. So, being a civility ambassador, uh, what do you actually do? I mean, now you've been honored to have that.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's just an honor to be in this position where I get to represent the I Change Nations or brand and organization. So it means that I am in a position to where globally I am basically called to promote being civil to one another. So one of the things that one of the other ambassadors and I are doing right now is we're putting together a civility and sports program
Mhm.
where we want to promote people all over the world being civil to one another. When you talk sports, we're talking on and off the field and the court. We're talking about ownership, the way they relate to players, players how they relate to owners, fans how they relate to one another, how they relate to players. Just being civil. I mean, we understand that there's competition in sports, but there doesn't have to be unrest.
Mm. Before civility ambassador, who was Barrett Matthews before he was a Dr. Barrett Matthews? Please,
Well,
because,
he was still here. He's still the same guy.
yeah.
Barrett Matthews is a guy who grew up in Maryland. Three siblings, two parents, middle class home. Went to college at Hampton University, a very prestigious, historically black college university. Majored in mass media arts, and I got out of school and was fortunate enough to work in media. Assistant director at a large news station here in D.C. Then I moved up to New York, worked with CBS for a while, worked with some great people, James Brown, Brent Musburger, all those guys. Got out of television, got more into the business sector, and eventually the media kept calling me, so I got back in and started teaching people how to do media for themselves. But it's a guy who loves the Lord, loves people, and usually gets along with most people.
Amen. Wonderful. Now, uh, talking about media, and this is what I think we are addressing when we are talking about being everywhere, because we are from different sides of the world and we are
Yeah.
reaching even much further. Now, dive us into it. What's because it's your passion. Tell us about its goodness and tell. The stage is yours now, Doctor.
Well, when it comes to media, I look at it like this: we're using media right now.
Mm-hmm.
Media is the platform at which you share your message. You share whatever it is you want to convey with people, and there are various forms of media. I mean, this is a video streaming media we're on right now, and it's actually being broadcast in social media. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually, and that, then you have some audio media such as podcasts and radio. You have written media, print media such as newspapers, blogs, books, ebooks, magazines. Those are print media. You have film. That's another form of media as well. And you have so many different forms of media out there. And one thing that I realized is that everybody consumes their information through one form of media or another.
Mm-hmm.
There's no town crier running throughout the town telling everybody the news anymore. So you're going to get it through some form of media.
Yeah.
So the whole premise of be everywhere all at once, I came up with that because of the fact that as business people, and that's usually who I work with are business people. If you're sincerely interested in getting your business to the masses, then you have to be everywhere all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you focus on only one form of media, yes, that's great. You may have a great following on that form of media. But if you're not touching on the other ones, there are other people out there who may want to be your client, but you're
Mm-hmm.
not reaching them where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, you miss out on that client. You miss out on that potential revenue as well.
Mm. Now, if I am going to be on every other platform, all of them, how do I make it? How do I manage to be just on any other platform out there, being everywhere?
Well, and a lot of it has to do with we're on the Restream studio right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally on several platforms as we speak.
Yeah.
So it can be done. You're not reinventing the wheel every time.
Mm-hmm.
You can take the same content, repurpose it, and put it in different areas. Because understand that, let's take a podcast, for example.
Mm-hmm.
People can do a video podcast, they can do an audio podcast. The
Mm-hmm.
same people that listen to an audio podcast are not the same people that watch a video podcast. They're
Mm-hmm.
usually two different people. So
Yeah.
it's the same content though,
Mm-hmm.
but it's reaching different audiences. You could take that podcast, transcribe it, and turn it into a blog post. You can
Mm.
turn it into an ebook if you like. You
Mm-hmm.
can put another camera and show the making of your podcast and turn that into a Roku TV channel or even a film.
Oh.
So there's a lot of things you can do with the same content. You don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. Now, how do you do that? You can learn it. There's a lot of different ways to learn it. You can go to YouTube and try to learn everything. You can go through different classes. I do a challenge on a Make Money from Media challenge where I show people how to put together those things. Or you can hire someone. I have a team that does this for certain people, where we
Mm-hmm.
actually do everything for them. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't have to do all the heavy lifting themselves, but they still want to get their message out there. So there are various ways of how to get it done, but it's very important to understand that why you should get it done, and understand that it needs to be done because people need to hear your content or read your content or see your content.
Mm. And you say you've been working with business people, entrepreneurs in this case. Now, I guess they have businesses running, but then we have someone who comes online. He has a following on social media, that is on Facebook, on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok. And we meet with Dr. Barrett here, who teaches about making money with media. If I don't have a book, if I don't have a course, if I don't have a brick and mortar business that is ongoing, uh, how can I start making money using media?
Oh, it's not that difficult. For instance, let's say a Roku channel. If
Mm-hmm.
you had a Roku TV channel, not only can you do Roku and sell your service on your channel, you
Mm-hmm.
can teach people about what you do to make them more interested. It doesn't necessarily generate immediate income, but as long as they know who you are, what you do, now they know to contact you. Another thing with Roku channel, Roku also can get sponsors coming in because of it's a TV channel. Sponsors may be interested in coming to you if you know how to attract those sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing with the Roku channel, keep in mind, I didn't say a Roku show. I said a channel, which means you
Oh.
can put as many shows on there as you want.
Mm-hmm.
That means that I can contact other people who are in my genre and I'd say, hey, how would you like to have a show on my channel? I can monetize that by charging them to be on my channel. That's just one way of doing things. You can monetize so many podcasting. You can grow your podcast to a level where sponsors are coming to you, or you can go to people that you know and ask them if they want to be a sponsor on your podcast, or you can charge people to be on your podcast. There's a lot of different ways to monetize your media. So many different ways.
Wow. So now we have now tellers. And you bring to my mind that maybe now tellers, because I do maybe one episode a day, now is
Mhm.
going to 2 episodes a day of now tellers. So maybe I could have someone come in and I sell them a space to do the other times that I'm not doing. How's that?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
it is. I heard a guy say to me one time. I told him I need to start thinking outside the box more, and he said, "Why are you in a box?" And I said, "You know what? I put myself in the box." And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "I need to stop doing that. I need to think differently." And thinking differently than everyone else is what will get you ahead. If just because no one's doing it doesn't mean that you can't do it.
Mm, that's a good one. Just because nobody is doing it doesn't mean that you can do it.
Right.
So I can just think of something that is not happening and I make it a reality.
Right. Just like you just said, someone else can come in and use a space that you're not using. That's a great idea.
Hmm. And they pay for the space that
And
is.
they pay for the space. Exactly.
Uh-huh. That's beautiful. And now using media, you say you don't focus on one. Are there some platforms that you've used that are much better than others? But here you're talking about being everywhere. But are there others that I should pay much attention to than the others, in your opinion?
No, I don't. I mean, I always say podcasting is the easiest way to get your message out there, the simplest
Mm-hmm.
way. Main reason I say podcasting because it's a great place to start.
Mm.
Because if it's something you're passionate about, something you love to do, it's easier for you to sit down and talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's harder for you if you had to write about it. You have to think about what you're writing a lot.
Mm,
But to sit down and just talk, you can talk all day about something you love.
for
And
sure.
that's why I say podcasting is probably the simplest way for people to get started. And you can take that content and do other things with it.
And I like listening, not even talking. So I just sit down and listen to you talk.
Thank you.
Okay, now business with the media, maybe podcast, book, channel that is out there. Uh, do you teach people on how to go about marketing? Because I know this is a big issue with businesses. How is it now? Yes, I have a podcast. How do I talk? How do I talk about? How do I close a sale in the things that
Well,
I'm
and
doing?
it's funny with books. I have a different philosophy than a lot of people with books, and I learned
Okay.
this from one of my mentors, Dr. Myron Golden. Is I don't try to sell books one by one anymore. I
Ah.
sell books. I sell. I don't try to sell books one by one. I sell books in bulk
Mm, tell me.
because here's the thing: the book is more of a credibility piece. It's,
Okay.
I didn't write a book to make $1 million selling a book. Very few people make a lot of money in books. Very
Mm,
few people. I
mm-hmm,
use the book as a credibility piece. One, it draws people into what I'm doing. They know my name now. It's more recognized because I'm an author.
mm-hmm,
It also, when I'm speaking, it gives me something to sell them to keep them engaged with me. So that then
mm-hmm,
later I can go back to them and introduce something else that I'm doing because now they know me. That's
mm-hmm,
the reason I wrote a book. And of course, because I want to get them the information that I had in my head to them.
mm-hmm,
Those are the reasons I write a book. Now, when it comes to marketing the book, I don't market it as much.
mm-hmm,
What I do is I offer it after I've spoken to them on some. If I did a conference, I spoke on stage, I'll let them know that I have books for sale.
mm-hmm,
Then because I want to make sure I leave them with something they can take, a part of me they can take with them. But
mm-hmm.
when I do that, I try to sell them books in bulk. So I tell them the book is $20. You can buy 10 for $100.
Mm,
And so if I sell them 10 for 100, they got them half price. Now they can go sell the books and make money off of it.
mm-hmm.
But guess what? Now I've got my book in 10 other people's hands.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it. I don't do it just to the book is a credibility piece I use to help me to spread my message out.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Wonderful, wonderful, and thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thank you.
Um, okay, so you told us about how it all got started, and what are the challenges that you faced on your path, on your journey?
Oh wow. Well, I think the biggest challenge was when I was working with CBS
Mm-hmm.
a long time ago, and they decided they didn't want my services anymore. And so my contract did not get renewed with them, and I was unemployed. And I recalled one of my college professors. He said to us, he said, "You haven't worked in television until you've been fired." so, so at that point, I said to myself, "Well, I've worked in television now." And I
No.
think it was funny because a lot of people there thought it was going to like really really traumatize me or something, but I wasn't. I just said, okay, now what's next? And so that's pretty much how I approached it. I wasn't angry or violently upset or anything. Of course, I wanted the position, but I didn't. I didn't react the way they expected me to react.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, it was something that shaped me because that was the last full time job I had had for someone
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want people to have that kind of control over me again, to where they could tell me we don't want you anymore.
Mm.
That at that point, I started looking for opportunities to work for myself
Mm-hmm.
and to control my own income, the hours I worked, and so forth. I wanted to be able to control that, and that was a big difference in my life. That was probably the biggest thing because it actually changed the way I operate.
How many years back are we talking of?
Woo! See, now you're gonna tell. I made me tell how old I am. But that was actually 1990.
Wow, I was still in school.
Hmm?
I was still in school.
You were
I,
still in
I was
school.
in school. I was in
I
school.
was too. The school of hard knocks.
Wow. And you've never looked back.
No, no, it's funny you said that because I've had people say to me, "You ever think about going back into television?" And I
Mhm.
said, "Well, first of all, no. But secondly, I wouldn't even know what to do. I've been away from that industry for so long. I don't know what to do, and I don't know if they've changed their policies, or I don't know how that works anymore."
Mm. And now, what has been your summit? I mean, now from that time until now, there's a time that you've hit high and said, "Oh, this is the best." And maybe it's this year, last year, I don't know. What was it? I know
Well,
I know there was COVID, and everybody talks. There
COVID
were,
was see the thing. COVID was opportunity for me.
whoa, it's interesting to hear that from you.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I got COVID myself, and I
I
mean,
know.
I'm not talking about the illness itself.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the period of time
Mm-hmm.
was an opportunity for me because in times of tragedy, that's where a lot of millionaires are created.
Oh.
That's where a lot of billionaires are created because there's a need,
Mm-hmm.
there's a gap, there's a hole, and as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, it's our job to fill those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's our job to close that hole with a solution. So
Mm.
that's one of the things that how I saw the whole COVID pandemic. Don't get me wrong, I'm very sorrowful for people who got sick and lost lives because I mean I've had that happen with my friends and family as well. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to a business side of it, the entrepreneur side of it, I saw opportunity there, and
Mm-hmm.
that's I realized that I'm not uncomfortable being home by myself. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, just more work. I just stay home and get to work. And I created more opportunity for myself in doing that. And it's brought in more clients because of that. Now, as far as highs in my business, I would say, like this last year was pretty good. This year is going to be even better. I see more things coming, but I've been able to. I've had so many different things that happened. Like, for instance, when given the honorary doctorate, that happened during COVID. I was also named a World Civility Ambassador during COVID. Before that, I Changed Nations awarded me a Diplomacy Leadership Award.
Okay.
These are things that that happened. They were highs, but one of the things that I get a greater thrill when I like one of my clients gives me a testimony, let me know that they love the work that I've done for them. I've helped, because that's what I'm trying to do. I want to be able to help people with the
Yeah.
work that I do for them. So to have them say it worked, that makes me feel good because that's validation, and I need that myself to know that, hey, I'm doing what I said I was going to do for these people because
Yeah.
I like to keep my word too.
Yeah. Always good to hear a good report that whatever it is you're doing on this face of the earth, there's something positive that is being
Exactly.
going from where you are, um, a step ahead, a step by
Yeah.
the. And now we have some people who are listening or watching us. They want to be everywhere, but right now they are nowhere.
They're
They
nowhere.
don't
Oh
have
no.
anything. They don't have anything going. So how would you advise them, or any tips that
Well,
you
I
give them
I
to
would
get
need to. I
started?
would honestly need to talk to them first. They would have to hop on my calendar and because I don't know anything about them or what they do. I have no advice for them right now except let's talk.
Okay, so you are inviting them to talk. Actually, this is a good opportunity to tell us how will they reach you. Well,
What's that now?
How will they reach you? How will they get to your calendar? Tell us.
Well, one thing they can do is just hit me up on social media on Facebook, LinkedIn. You can hit me up there, Barrett Matthews. You can find me there, and just ask for my calendar. You can also go to my website for my podcast, the Media Boss Podcast. You can go to mediabosspodcast.com, mediabosspodcast.com, and just reach out to me, and I'll get you my calendar. But I definitely want to talk to them first, because I can't it's like a doctor. I can't diagnose you unless I know some things about you. I don't want to give you a medicine that you're allergic to. So I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about when we talk. But I would love to, just get on my calendar and we can definitely talk.
Oh yeah, so that's mediapodcast.com.
Media Boss Podcast.
Mediabosspodcast.com. Go there and connect to Dr. Barrett Matthews.
And let's do my podcast.
Yes. Because you should be everywhere. Hey, you who's listening, you should be everywhere. And you don't know where to get started. Let Dr. Matthew guide you. Let him tell you where he's been. And if you have a challenge in starting on any of the areas, he can always guide you. He told us he has a team behind him. Isn't that beautiful? If you have a team, you can win the game.
That's true. I agree. I agree. You can't do everything by yourself. I always say you can be the CEO, but you can't be the COE, which is the chief of everything.
Oh, yeah. You had that from Dr. Barrett Matthews. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, man. This has been a pleasure and an honor. I really appreciate you. I'm going to have you on my podcast.
Yes, and we also appreciate you taking your time. It's a great honor to tell us how to be everywhere all at once. So we are just about to sign off. In a short while, we'll be going. But before we go, we always ask our guests to leave us with a few words that we should always remember, even when you are gone. Just like you leave the people with the books. Yeah, leave us with something.
Well, okay, great. Well, one thing I want to leave everybody with is this. Imagine that there's a world where people know who you are, no matter what you do. Imagine that someone picks up a magazine and they see an ad that you're in or an article that you've written. Imagine that someone goes to a bookstore and they see a book that you've written. Imagine someone goes on social media and they see posts and comments about how people have worked with you. Imagine that someone turns on their Roku TV channel and sees your show on your channel. Imagine that people go look for podcasts and they see your podcast up there with your picture on the graphic. Imagine that someone even goes to look online and they see a film about you, about why you do what you do. Now imagine that those people are calling you because they saw you and they want to do business with you. Well, all I'm saying to you is that whether you do business with me or not, you need to find a way to be everywhere all at once, because if you don't, you're missing clients. There are people out there who want to be paying clients to you, but they don't know you because you decided not to meet them where they are. Meet them where they are and be everywhere all at once.
Wow. I don't have words to add. Hey, you out there, you either have a service that you sell, or maybe a product that you sell, or maybe you're looking for an opportunity, but nobody knows about you. So you've got to get out there and be known by people everywhere.
That's right.
And go say that's Dr. Barrett who said that. Yeah, go out there. And if you don't know how, just go reach out to Dr. Barrett. Once again, at www.mediabosspodcast.com. Thank you very much, Dr. Barrett.
Thank you, my friend.
Yes. And thank you, our viewers. Thank you, all our listeners. If you even get to hear this or watch this after we are through, We thank you for your time. Remember to share it with your friends. Remember to subscribe to our channel, follow us on our social handles, because we are out there everywhere, and we are also reminding you to go out there everywhere. So I've been your host, Anthony Morore, and together with our guest today, Dr. Barrett Matthews, this has been Now Tell Us, and now we are saying bye for now. Bye.